Peace, peace, peace. What's good? We got my toe assistant over here making my life easier because this beanbag is, they're hard to get comfy in. I mean, once you get comfy, it's nice. But sometimes it literally took me like 6 tries right now. And then because you forget something and you have to get back up, I really feel like this beanbag is a symbolism of, or not specifically this beanbag, any beanbag could be symbolism of teaching us patience, teaching us that, because in essence, you can think of every time you had to readjust the little balls that are in here, of it being like every single time that it didn't get adjusted right and you had to get back up, that could be like what we call failures. When we fail or we got to retry it or redo it because it isn't exactly up to par. And it teaches us patience, and it teaches us that you can keep getting up and continue to just keep trying. Nothing happens, you don't lose anything, maybe just some time of being comfortable already. But at the end of the day, you also know that regardless if you keep trying to adjust the little balls inside the bean bags, then you're gonna eventually get a really comfy seat. And it's worth the efforts, it's worth a little bit of the struggle. Because this really, it feels comfortable. If I would not even be talking, I'd just be chilling, laying down like this. But I gotta keep one eye open because mosquitoes are always out to attack. I literally have my no-mosquito spray. And this no-mosquito spray is just not doing justice. It's not doing justice. I'm like dripping in it right now. I was dripping in it. So I have a small gentle reminder, aside from what I just gently reminded also. It's not what you usually hear, but this isn't about what people usually say. It's quite usually the contrary to what people say. Be picky. Yes, be picky. Be picky in knowing what you want and not settling for less. Be picky in knowing what you want to do because you enjoy doing it, and don't settle for anything that is not that is not fulfilling to you. Be picky in who you date. Don't put up with things that you know are not something that makes your spirit feel safe. Don't put up with things that take away from your peace and maybe make you be challenged and remaining in peace all the time. Be picky with the people that you date. Be picky with where you choose to place your energy. Be picky with where you choose to go. Be picky with who you choose to hang out with. Be picky with those who you choose to have around you and to be in your presence. 333. Be picky with the food that you eat. Be picky with it. Be picky with how good you take care of yourself. Be picky with what you choose to put inside your temple. Be picky with it. I used to feel bad for being as picky as I am with my food, and I've become even pickier because I went from eating, I wasn't always a really bad eater. I never liked steaks and all that and all the weird, I never liked all that really deep animal style dishes. But I drank dairy. Yeah, I ate dairy. I don't even know how you say it right. I did not eat clean back then. Regardless if it's at the worst level or not. Any part of that for me now is not good at all. I used to feel bad about being so picky when I transitioned from eating whatever in the world and not being picky about it to being vegan. I felt bad about being with others and feeling also the pressure from outside environment where it's like, oh, you don't eat this either, oh, you don't eat that, oh, you're so difficult, oh, you're so picky. Having to be patient with me as I'm asking questions to the servers if we go out to eat somewhere, or me having to decline even eating home cooked meals sometimes because it's like, I'm not going to eat that. I started to move up my standards in what I decided to eat and be picky with it. And yes, many times when you start to be picky with knowing what's good for you and not settling for anything less than that, you can settle for still another good feeling state. It doesn't have to be the whole royal treatment of preference. What I'm saying is, don't lower your standard from a place of the areas of feeling good to the areas of not feeling really good, even if it's just a little bit. Be picky with how you feel. And don't worry about other people's opinions. Other people's opinions, just like they say, they're none of our business. And other people's opinions is just a reflection of their own inner world. It has nothing to do with us. And the moment we can realize that, like really internalize that, we become so free. We become so free and detached from this matrix, detached from this Truman show. It's okay if others don't understand why you're being so picky. It's okay if they talk down on you being so picky. It's okay if they complain that you're so picky. It's okay. And in fact, when people are slightly inclined to being bothered with me being so picky as I am and holding these high standards, I actually encourage them to be picky like that too. Be picky with what you know is good for you. Be picky with what you consume in your body. Be picky with it. Care about it. Be picky enough to care to be picky enough. Because trust me, the more you are picky with knowing what's good for me, be picky with your choices. If I know that going somewhere in some place or with some people is not gonna be an environment or be filled with some energy that I'm gonna feel great in, that I'm gonna want to just radiate happiness or joy or just peace and just bliss of just being there, it doesn't have to be something extreme, then I need to be picky enough to select those choices to not go. I need to be picky with what energies I'm going to choose to place myself in and around. I need to be picky. That way I can be a joy to be around too. Because if I'm not picky and I choose to go somewhere where I know I'm not meant to be and I'm feeling it intuitively that I'm not really feeling it, not out of fear, not out of trauma, not out of any of those things, but just because intuitively I'm feeling. It doesn't have to do with anything else. I'm not feeling like it's going to be my vibe. When you're picky to decide to value your standards of self-love, of peace, of protecting your peace, then that makes us more enjoyable to be around, because that's what we now emanate outside. But if we choose to ignore the intuition and to ignore that sense of self-love that is telling you to be picky in your choices of where you're going or whatever it is, then we're not going to be a great energy to be around. So next time you hear someone tell you, don't be picky, and they might as well be saying, settle for less than what you're feeling, settle for less than what you think you deserve, settle for less than who you think you are deserving of being with, because you're worthy within yourself, because it all begins with self-love. It all begins with self-love. If you love yourself enough to be picky enough to say, you know what, I don't deserve this, I do deserve this, out of love, out of love for this person, out of love for this thing, out of love for this situation, out of love for myself, this world really does then begin to be a better place. The more picky I became with myself, which I know is sometimes conflicting with the outside world because we're taught the opposite. And people who are lenient and not picky within their own lives, they reject the energy of someone who is standing true and knowing what they want, knowing what they're not going to put up with, knowing where they're not going to place their energy in, knowing who they're not going to allow to be in their energy. That's things that we're not used to in the world. But when we stand in that position, then we also that creates a ripple effect to help others be more in that place of self-love, of being picky with all of those things, being picky with everything. Just like I was saying yesterday too, be picky with what you watch, be picky with what you consume, be picky with the content that you decide to pay attention to tune into. These are all radio stations right now. They're all programs on the TV. We're selecting what series we're going to watch, what episode we're going to watch. We're choosing what movie scene we're going to watch through scrolling, through what we're programming our feed to be. We are tuning ourselves to that frequency. You are now on my frequency for choosing to stay here and be here. And your energy has attracted me to you too. It's the same thing with all of us. It's the same thing with all of us. Be picky with what you choose to also give your energy to. 1212. What we tune into is what we're also co-creating. Being a part of that co-creation doesn't matter what it is. If you're constantly watching the news and watching these horror movies and watching and listening to all this rap music and all this, whatever you call these things, this music that's out there in the mainstream, you're now co-creating with that, because you're adding to that ripple effect of energy. You're creating a stronger wave current, because you're now attaching your powerful energy, because you cannot forget how powerful you are. When you realize how powerful you are, then you start to pull back your energy. Then you start to be way more mindful of what you're placing your energy to, because your energy is powerful. Why do you think they're after our attention? Why do you think they're after our mind? Why do you think that they don't want us to think for ourselves and settle for things? Settle for the food they tell you to go and buy in the grocery stores. Settle for the prescription drugs that they're constantly flooding your feeds with on TV, on newspapers, on magazines, on billboard signs, on everywhere, ads on the phones. Be picky. Be picky and take back your power. Realize your power first. First, you gotta realize your power. You can't take back something without knowing that there's something out there for you to call back. First, realize the power that you have and that you hold. Once you realize it, then you're gonna be so much more mindful as to where you're placing your power and what power you've given away. You'll no longer give away your power. So anytime we're making a choice to either be picky or not be picky, we are choosing to either remain in our power or give our power away. When we're being picky with knowing what feels good, knowing what is peaceful to us, knowing what brings us harmony, what has us tap in more to that inner harmony that we have naturally, that we are created through with that frequency of love, When you begin to be picky, that's you also aligning with your power. That is you aligning with your power. So next time someone tells you don't be picky, you gently remind them and encourage them to be picky themselves. Be picky. Be picky in valuing yourself. Be picky with not accepting things that are not standing up to that value that you're holding, that self-love. Be picky to protect your peace. I gotta be picky right now too and go inside. I'm not getting attacked again. And that has lasted, I don't know how long, 15 minutes. Okay. So this is my gentle reminder to you to be picky. 555. Make whatever changes you need to make in your life to do what you need to do to feel good about yourself, and be picky with that. Don't feel bad about other people creating conflict with it don't worry about the outside noise. There's always going to be outside noise, just like when you put the TV to a channel that it doesn't have any connection to it, it's going to be a bunch of black noise. There's that all over the world, and it's never going to shut out until you know how to tap within yourself and be picky to know if you're going to pay attention to that static noise or not. Or basically just tune it out. So, yes, be picky. Be very picky. Know what you want. Don't settle for less than that. If anybody tells you that you have to settle and you can't always get what you want and this and that, no. Don't pay attention to it. If that's what you believe, then you're right. If it's not what you believe, then you're also right. Believe you can and you're right. Believe you can't and you're also right. So you choose which one. My message here is to be picky with that choice. All right. Much love. Peace. Thank you, Assistant Toe.